One question I see a lot is, can I use Elm on a server? And there's also some variation of this of, can we get Elm to compile to some other platform, frequently the Erlang Beam runtime, but sometimes others are mentioned as well. And so the answer to this is sort of not yet, and it's complicated. So first of all, getting Elm to run on Node.js on a technical level is actually not that hard. Some people have done it, and some tools like the Elm runtime or the Elm test runner that Richard Feldman has built and others are around. You can use them, and they work well. What's really, I think, being asked is, can I build a web server using Elm? And the answer to that is not yet, and possibly no. Because here's the thing, what is easy comparatively is building the compiler. You could build a compiler that would take Elm code and compile it down to a Beam runtime. I mean, it would take some work, but you could do it. It would be a fairly straightforward exercise in building a compiler. What would be much harder would be figuring out how to build the abstractions and metaphors that would allow that to be an enjoyable experience, and specifically an experience that would be significantly better than what we already have. The question is not, can I make Elm work on a server? It's, can I make building a web server in Elm more enjoyable or better than, say, building the same thing using Phoenix or Cowboy, if you're an Erlang fan like me. And that's a more complicated question and doesn't have quite as many good answers. Again, getting Elm code to simply compile to Beam code, it would take a lot of work, but it's a fairly obvious process of how you do it. The question of how do you build a compiler is well defined, and the Erlang virtual core machine instructions are also well defined. So it's really just a question of the mechanics and somebody sitting down and writing and debugging it. What's much harder, to my mind, is making it such that you have the amazing experience that you have from building front-end Elm code in the web browser on the server. And the answer to that is not incredibly non-obvious to my mind. So how do we do that? We don't know. And right now, I think the efforts are on keeping Elm to make the front-end code lovely, because that's a problem that we really have a good idea how to solve, and not necessarily how to make the back-end code awesome. We'll get to that eventually, maybe. Or maybe somebody else will. Maybe the correct answer is to just use Elixir and Phoenix, or to use Haskell and Yesod if you prefer Haskell, or to use something else.